Hi, starting out solitary, it's week 206 and we are talking about hiding your craft. Now, as someone who hid my craft for a very long time, I'm going to try to make this video short. I came from an extremely religious mother. I won't say that we went to church a lot, but my mom definitely had some religious issues when she found out that I was exploring paganism. So, first of all, I will tell you from experience, do not bring any reference materials that are blatantly pagan. So, like Scott Cunningham, things like Solitary Witch, tarot, even in my house it went so far as folklore. Now, if like things like Aesop's Fables was fine, things that had to do with my culture were fine, and if I could pawn off like Greek, Roman, things like that, that was fine. But it had to be from an academic standpoint. So if you can make it seem academic, that's one thing. But if it is blatantly paganistic, I would say don't bring it home. What I would say is take your happy self to Walmart, Target, somewhere like that. Get yourself a little stick drive. And any reference material that you find on the internet, or through forums or through books, type it out on Word. Do not save it to your computer. Save it to a stick drive, a thumb drive. I don't have one anymore, otherwise I'd show you. And keep it with you on all times, in all places, all the time. That is my first thing of advice. Again, I came from a very religious parent, so I have a lot of archangel stuff. Because I used it really early in my practice, it is still ingrained in me. I have a lot of saints. Right now, I happen to have St. Michael and St. Martin, but I mean, you can get saint candles at the grocery store, you can get saint candles at the Dollar Tree, you can get 7-day candles that don't have saints on it in the Dollar Tree. This was my go-to in the very, very beginning. Something else that's really nice is that I used to light these with incense. So I would go get incense and I would do a blessing over the incense. I would light the incense, or I would write it on the edge of the stick. So at the bottom of these sticks, these are really, really short sticks, I would write with Sharpie, like whatever I was trying to go for, and I would light it. The good thing about that is that you can bury it or take it outside with the garbage. Nobody ever has to know. Again, really religious parent. So I used saints, angels, things like that. The other thing that I would do, and I dropped it, okay, there it is get little tea lights, and then I would carve things in it, and then lightly carve things in it, not very thick, and then like sigils or things like that, and then burn it. And burn it so that the oil or the wax melts down enough that when it melts, it covers that sigil. It comes back together. Like this is one that I've done. I've done sigils in this one, and I have burnt the wax to a point where it covers up where the sigil used to be. This is something that I still have from my very, very early days. This is a notebook that I used to write things in that didn't make any sense to anybody else but me. So I created a shorthand that I knew what was happening, and I just left it with me everywhere. So that's something that I would encourage. Another thing that I would say is if you're a writer, go to Barnes & Noble and get one of these and write a journal. Do not, if you live with someone who is going to go through your things, and everyone has different things of that. I had another situation after I had moved out from my parents' house where I had lived with some other people who used to go through my things. It's a long story. Anyway, I used to write kind of like my feelings after it. And like, for instance, let's say that you did a ritual for, I don't know, Beltane or Maven or, I don't know, pick one. So I would give them all initials. Like, so Beltane was B, and so I'd write the date, so like whatever year it was, write the date up here, and then up here I'd put B, and then if it was feedback or, so let's say Beltane, and you did a ritual for that, I would talk about my feelings and talk about where. So like I generally went to parks, to the lake, to public places where I could be by myself, but it was public. And then like, so let's say I did it at the lake. So I would put the date, the place within this, like of where I did it, kind of how I'm feeling, things like that. And then if it was feedback, I'd write F. If it was ritual notes, like how I was feeling, the energies around me, I would use RN, so ritual notes. Just shorthand that makes sense to you, that wouldn't necessarily make sense to someone else reading it. Another thing is, I got, lotuses are a really big thing for me. And so I got this at Marshall's, I think. Yeah, Marshall's. I think it was like, I don't know, $3 or something. And that stayed with me for a long time. These are really popular at like Cracker Barrel or some of the church stores, the bookshops, like the mother images. And so I use that. And then you can use elements. Now I had to be really, really careful about using water and fire in my house. Candles were fine, incense were fine, but my mom knew enough about other religions that I had to be careful about doing that. So I had plants, like my little tree, that I would have, or like succulents. You can't see them. Let's see. You still can't see them. So I have succulents over there. And that's something that I've always kept with me is little plants. The other thing that I used a lot when I was specifically in high school and a minor is cord magic. So I did loom projects where I would use yarn and create things. I'm not a crocheter, I'm not a knitter, but I would make other things. So I'd make little people, or I would make, I don't know, little designs or bows or whatever. And so what I would do is I would take yarn that I got at like the craft store, and I would knot it, and I would cut it in little pieces. The other thing that I used a lot with prayers and things like that were rosaries. So I would get rosaries from the local Christian bookstore, and I would use the rosary to set an intention of prayers. So in the morning, like the rosary has a line of prayers. I did the same thing with different prayers and things like that. So that's kind of that. I mean, I can expand on how I hid tarot cards and things like that. I will say that if you are a minor and you have a locker, that's a good place for it. Or like in high school, I was in my car. I did not keep my tarot cards in my car. I kept them in my locker. And then I would take them out like on lunch, go out in my car and pull cards, and then I'd put them back in my locker. So yeah, I have a lot of experience doing this, both in and out. So if I've missed anything, or if you guys have questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And if it applied to me, or I have any ideas for you, I will continue to talk to you guys in the comments. Until then, I will see you guys next week when we tackle yet another thing here on Starting on Solitary.